Hello and welcome to this episode of the Digital Zen Art Show. This time we're going to be rolling with this concept here. I thought I might stick a skull on an island and have it being attacked by tanks and planes and call it Attack on Skull Island. I think it'll probably work well visually. It'll be a reasonably intriguing kind of spectacle for the viewer. So we've got some tanks and planes here attacking this kind of villain base. No one's fighting back. Obviously, this is kind of a metaphor for a certain country which is currently invading another certain country, but I'm not going to mention that here. So let's just crack on with Cinema 4D and I will show you what I've done so far. So obviously I didn't really want to sit there modelling a skull for ages because that's a complete lesson in itself. So I've just downloaded one from Thingiverse. Now Thingiverse is a 3D printing website. You can download STL files and OBJ files. And you can actually use the models as models in Cinema 4D if you kind of just want to create your own materials for them. So that's what I've done here. I've gone on Thingiverse and downloaded this skull. It's a pretty good model. I'm happy with it. So I'm just gonna work from here. The next thing we're going to do is set up go back in our startup layout, and what we're going to do is create a landscape. So here's our landscape, and we're just going to obviously make that a bit less tall. So here we go. If we just zoom out here, and we'll just reduce the height of that landscape there, so it's a little bit more like a kind of a beach or an island. And the next thing we want to do after that is move the skull down so it's kind of embedded in the sand, just so it looks a bit kind of like it's been there for a while and it's a villain base, etc. So here we go. Here's our skull island. Now, obviously, in the illustration we had we've got some. It's like we want some waves going on here, so we'll stick a kind of another object with some water on it and have it kind of blending in. And we want some foliage, and so we want some trees here in the background. So I just wonder if we got any trees in the asset browser. Tree. We probably have a palm tree somewhere, I'd imagine, and it doesn't have to be a palm tree. We've got some redshift models here. We got a chestnut tree, a coconut tree. Yeah, okay, but that's a redshift model. Oh, we got some coconut trees. Awesome. Yeah, let's use those. So let's just download those and we'll shrink them down a bit. So I mean, I don't know how tall coconut trees are in real life, but I imagine they're reasonably tall. And we'll just duplicate that and do our little trick of rotating and rescaling so that we don't have to constantly be working with other models. I'm going to download another one as well, just to add some variety. And yeah, these obviously these models are pre-textured, so we don't have to worry about creating materials for them, which is nice and very generous of the Maxon guys to provide an entire asset library along with Cinema 4D. So kudos to those guys. So the next thing we're going to do is faff around with this for a bit. But this gets our point across nicely, so we'll just move this over there. I'm not going to do too much with any cloners or anything. I don't think it's quite necessary right now, because I'm not going to have billions of these trees knocking about. And the geometry is very complicated, so it would put the system under strain, even if you had like a really fast system. Obviously, like the software can also be a bottleneck. So that's just something to bear in mind if you're looking at kind of pushing the limits. And there's always the scope to kind of push it as far as you can and see what it takes to break it, which is what I kind of do sometimes as well. Don't spare the nag, as they say in horse racing. I wonder if you've got a bush in here. There's a few bushes here. Nice one. Let's grab this bush, as Donald Trump would say, or something to that effect at least. So here we go. So here we go. We're just going to stick a few bushes around here, a few more bushes there. And I mean, I'll add to this in a bit, but I basically just want a kind of like an underwash of the general scene at the moment. And this is what this gives us, I think, which is groovy and lovely. So yeah, so this is just about where we want to be right now. I'll do a cheeky little test render with this. I'll put just a generic sky in here. Where's me sky? I don't want you. Sky. I'm going to go for a physical sky because I just find that's nice and flexible and it gives me a little bit more control over the lens stuff. I mean, you can combine this with an HDRI sphere sky as well. Largely, that's kind of not necessary. So if we go for like what date is it? So this is saying it's the 16th of September. The date is correct, but the time is not correct. So something like that's quite cool. What I'm going to do. So I like the light angle, but I think the entire scene now is kind of at a wrong angle. But I don't want to. There we go. Something like that. Where's my composition? So basically I'm going to be zooming in on the skull. I'm going to change this to a square format now because we can start composing. So we do our usual Instagram friendly 2000 by 2000 and see where that gets us. And we're kind of almost somewhere, but not anywhere just yet. I'm going to re-rotate this because that'll come in handy later. And let's just do a little test render. So there's my skull. I don't want to obscure the skull too much. But obviously, you know, there's a kind of a balance to be struck between what would be happening naturally and your creative control over it. So let's just have a little butcher's hook of this. And we shall see how it turns out. I'm going to turn the settings down after this one, I think, because it might be a bit much. So obviously want a bit of blue sky behind there, I think, as well, once we've put our background trees and foliage in. But for now, I'm going to leave it for now. That's pretty cool. And yeah, and then the next thing we're going to do is add some more stuff and kind of flesh it out a bit. We might look into how we're going to bust bits off our skull. We can use either Veroni fracture, or we could just do it manually in Photoshop. So yeah, cool. Well, let's crack on. So the next thing, what we want to do is to the sky's not blue enough. Basically, we want to add some white or add some blue in there because it's looking a little bit too white. I don't think. I mean, the sky is mainly white, and you can get away with it. Like in general, I know it looks blue, but if you paint it, generally you can get away with making it look white and making it believable. So I am happy with where the skull's at because I haven't put any kind of material on that, but it just seems to be kind of look quite dry and bony. So who am I to argue? So what are we going to do with this sky situation then? It's kind of bugging me a little bit, you know. It is kind of bugging me a little bit because although it's groovy, just needs that extra little bit. And I think some clouds, but maybe I'll put the clouds in Photoshop. We shall see. Let us just adjust the time. See if we can maybe just get down a bit to 3 o'clock. That's, yeah, still looking way too white. Way too white. Way too white. I think we might have to create an independent light source and also color our sky blue. It might not be an issue. Come to think of it, we could always use the object buffer and just pop some stuff in Photoshop. So I think that's probably the way to go. I think we'll Photoshop in the sky because I'm happy with the skull and how it's kind of rendering and stuff like that. So this whole scene could just be object buffered, and we'll stick a few trees and foliage in there in the background so that we have a bit more believability, if you want to call it that. I'm not so sure. But let's just get rid of you, get rid of that, get rid of bark. We don't need the bark, we just need the leaves. There's another one there. We don't need that, we don't need that, we just need the leaves. Also, I think probably a polygon reduction might be appropriate for the thingy-bob, the leaves, because they're going to get polygon-tastic after a few. Apologies if there's weird things happening with my menus. I bought a magic trackpad from my laptop that's docked over there. And I love it. It's brilliant. Going back to a mouse feels really quite primitive and clunky because I'm just shunting this hunk of plastic around my desk and scraping it on the wood. This trackpad feels way nicer because my hand's empty and free and I could just slide. But it is kind of weird. It's not 100% resolved as a piece of hardware, I guess. It's a Magic Trackpad too. I'm not getting paid by Apple or anything, but yeah, it's much prefer it. But it does have its little quirks, which we must just put up with for now, I suppose, because I can't see any fixes. So where's our polygon reduction gone? We do have a polygon reduction here somewhere. Oh well, back to the help menu again. Polygon reduction. There we go. So we want to pop that in there. Okay. Reduction strength. Ooh, yeah, let's go for like 96. Just arbitrary number I plucked out of the tree. I don't know if you're supposed to put the polygon reduction in the object. Whichever one does a calculation. It's weird because some of the deformers and stuff, you have to put them in the object, and other times you have to put the feckin' object in the thing. So I'm gonna just go with object in the thing because I saw it do something there a moment ago. Let's get rid of you. Just get rid of the whole thing. I'll just copy and paste the polygon reduction. Just hit L on the keyboard and line those up. No, it's still doing it. Oh no, where are we gone? We got some weird old anomalies going on tonight. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe my trackpad at work again. So if we just gonna move that over there. I'm gonna take it out and then pop you there. Pop that back in there. Pop that there. And pop that there. Because I like to be able to just not have to think too much about where I'm putting the stuff. So that'll do us for now. I'm gonna put some bushes. You need more bushes. We have a polygon reduction now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just hit C on the keyboard, and hopefully them polygons now won't be stressing my system out too much. It's not necessary to have very detailed objects at a distance, and so that's why we won't worry too much about that. Okay, that's cool. I can just whatever that key is, command. Used to be the Apple key. I miss having an Apple key. I miss having the Apple logo on the key. It reminded me of the old days in the 80s when you had the manufacturer's logo actually on the keyboard. I think Apple stopped doing that because, I don't know, maybe it felt too old school. But I absolutely loved it. I can't remember what computers had that. There was loads of them. I think it was at the Atari ST. You had Acorns and Amstrads and BBC Micros and everything. And having the logo on the keyboard just, I don't know, give it a bit more personalization. Not of the manufacturer, but made you realize your computer's coming from somewhere, and you just don't get that these days, which I think is a real shame. I would love to see that again. I'd love to see an Apple logo on the keyboard. I wonder if my old MacBook's got it. Bear with me a sec. Alright, so here's my old laptop. Very old laptop. Got this in 2007. I wonder if it still has an Apple logo on the keys. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Here you go. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. Which way do I need to move it to show you? Do I see the little Apple logo right there on the keyboard? See? That's what I'm talking about. They took that away. They robbed us of it. I'm not happy. Anyway, I keep that laptop as a memento, a keepsake. It's my first laptop I bought with my own money. I haven't had a job and working for it. So I think those kind of things are important to remind you when you're just having an iffy day with a client, or just feeling ungrateful in general. Think back to the time when you had nothing, and remember, you worked for what you got. Keep going. Someone will give you a break. Someone will cut you a break. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what life's all about? You never know what's going to happen. I know people who are happy doing what they do. I wouldn't be happy doing that. They wouldn't be happy doing what I do. But that's the beauty of life. There's something for everyone, isn't there? Okay, so we're just decorating this. This is going to play havoc with the ambient occlusion and the global illumination. There's so many leaves now for for the computer to think about. It's going to be a little bit tricky to kind of render and stuff. And this is generally, with these kind of scenes, can be a bit of a bugger. You just have to kind of crack on, I remember working in Adobe Illustrator with this ridiculously complicated logo once. It was crazy. There we go. Pop you there. And it just wasn't. It would take ages. The computer would literally be like, "Film, you're right protected." I should think not. Don't worry about that warning. That was probably me getting up to my old antics with my operating system, installing various plugins. So yeah, we've got a little bit more detail in this now. I'm digging the skull texture. It's not a texture. It's just a default Cinema 4D. But I am digging it. I need to just kind of make sure that those bushes are on the ground. Not all of them, just the ones in the front, because I quite like the way they're up off the ground. That I kind of did it a minute ago. It's because it just kind of masks. You don't have to create so many of them, and you can be more efficient with your models. Okay, cool. So we're getting in. We're kind of in a groovy place now. Let's make sure that's. Yeah, you see. Just gotta be careful in 3D, because something can look like it's in a certain spot and then it just totally isn't. And you just have to kind of. You can use your orthographic cues, of course, which I do all the time. But sometimes it's nice to just look at what you can see. So here we are with this. And I'm just going to click randomly on these, scale them up and down, rotate them randomly, create a sense of chaos. So there's probably some kind of plugin or algorithm you can use for this. But I don't know, I kind of like doing it by hand at times. I love using the power of the computer to do efficient stuff like arrays and cloners. But also, it's just nice sometimes to have, just a hands-on thing, isn't it? It's that how you feel like you kind of made it by hand as opposed to kind of just let it be generated. Where do you? It gets to a sliding scale, isn't it? Like at the very extreme end, you have AI generated art, and at the other end of that, you have like hand painted pictures. And so I guess digital art's somewhere in the middle, because you're harnessing the efficiency and the power of the computer, but also you're kind of doing it yourself and doing it directly from your own. Using your own hands to kind of move stuff around and that kind of jazz. So yeah, it's weird. Now I had a lecturer at university and he was like, "Oh, you didn't do that, the computer did that." I was like, I slid the laptop across the table to him and I said, "Feel free to repeat it." And he did not have an answer. And so I just thought, there's a point there. He couldn't do it off his own back. So there is a merit in digital art in that sense. But, for someone to pick up a paintbrush and just paint a beautiful picture, that takes an incredible amount of skill. And that skill's getting lost over the years. I don't mind it being us doing digital art here, and this is just as valid. But it seems a shame. It's like the printing press. It's like the loss of the printing press. It should be recorded and maintained in history. Because if we lose that, we forgot where it all came from. We forget the reasoning behind it, and that would be an absolute travesty. It really would. You shouldn't ever forget the reason for these things. And eventually you might have a different reason. But right now, there is what there is. So I'm kind of babbling a little bit here. I'm kind of concentrating on this, so it's kind of automatic thoughts coming through. But you know what I'm saying, don't you? As a creative, you understand what I'm saying. It's important to retain the essence. I mean, we don't want to be hacking stuff out of stone tablets anymore, but we still have fonts that contain serifs. But that's optional. That's a style choice now. And what technology gives us is the option. And it's an important thing, because it expands your creativity. It's an important thing. So this is cool with where we are so far. We're gonna work the sky out at another time, and the beach water as well. But for now, we got our bushes replicated, and this should be cool once you bring it back into Photoshop and stuff, and do all the gubbins we need to do in there. And yeah, we're I think we're in a positive place here. There's a good vibe going on. I'm happy. If you're watching, maybe you were happy or maybe you're not happy. I don't know. There's a dislike button there if you want it. I won't take it personally. If you're here to learn, then hopefully you're learning something. And we shall, groovy for now. and I'll catch you in a bit. Hey, I've been away from this for a few days now, so I'm just looking with fresh eyes. I'm pretty happy with how it's going and everything like that. So let's just dive in again. So basically, the next thing we want to do, I've downloaded a tank and a plane model from Thingiverse again, the same place I got that skull. And I'm going to use those in the illustration. And we're also going to add in some water to kind of intersect with this model of the beach here. I do apologize if you can hear the rain in the background. It's really, really rainy tonight at the moment. So if you can hear that, just try and ignore it. Listen to the sound of my voice. So the next thing we're doing here is water. Alright, so let's find the water. Let's go in the asset browser. Oh no, here we are. Yeah, I've been looking already. That's cool. We're going to download deep blue water. So we just need a cube to stick that in. Stick that there, in that cube. Now we have a big watery cube. So let's activate our orthographic view. And we're just going to put the water somewhere appropriate. About there, I'd say. Probably do the trick. Move it. Where's my camera? What angle am I looking at this from? Ooh. Okay, my camera's on a funny angle. Cool. So we're going to do that. And move this. You can move your orthographic views around if you just... you have to press the right-hand mouse button, I think. Let me just check. Yeah. But yeah, now you hold 3 and rotate as normal, sorry, that's cool. And if I hold shift, it'll just snap it. So that just helps me out a little bit. We'll put you there. We'll actually rotate that. There we go. It's confusing now because it's taking planes at a funny angle. But I think we're good. We're going to just put some water here. Or actually, leave it like that. That's not too bad. And just drop it down a bit so it's intersecting with the beach. The beach. Oh, little island there, see? Smashing. So we're going to have that there. Might have to modify the old the beach just so that it's kind of a bit more, looks a bit more beachy.
A few moments later.
Okay, good. This is what we're at, man. It's all about just tweaking it some more till we get the desired result. There's no rush, there's no panic. You can sit back, be mindful, and then just enjoy the process. That's what we like, isn't it? As part of this is just the process, you know. That was really high up in the air. Just move you back there. Now it's buried. And that will be fine. Now everything's gonna be fine in the end, isn't it? No need to worry about things. So here we go. And we pull you out here. And we drag you down there. Oh my goodness me. And so the reason I've obviously chosen an F-16 and a Challenger tank to attack Skull Island, well, I mean, you can probably work that metaphor out for yourself. So we're not going to go too much into it. So let's just duplicate this one. Okay, and I'm going to make it really mountainous. So it's really high. No, we don't want that. We want the height to increase. And we want the borders at sea level? Or yeah, see, that's going to go crazy. That's annoying. Never mind. I wonder if we could just make it bigger. Yeah, that'll do. We'll have to make both of them bigger, but that's okay. Boop, beep, boop, up. Oh my goodness me. Don't want to do that. So how were we working that one then? Landscape. Let's just move this right to the top. So it's next to the other landscape. And we can modify them both. So this one can go, hang on, if I just quantize that, it's not quite...
Approximately 10 hours later.
No, what we can do as well, actually, we just combine a few different landscapes. So that we kind of get, yeah, there we go. That'll do us nicely, I think. Okay, so let's just render that. I think we're getting somewhere now. I think we're definitely getting somewhere. And so I think we'll be starting to bring in the attacking force next. What I've decided is I don't think I'm not going to use anything to break up the skull model. Because like, it just wouldn't be cool. It wouldn't be as cool. So what I'm going to do instead is going to do it in Photoshop. I'm going to bring it into Photoshop, and then we're going to modify our models, which would be nice. No, we don't want to lift that up, not at all. So this is cool, and all good. I think that'll be enough foliage. Oh, would you stop acting a maggot? Oh, stupid sulfur. Anyway. Whoa, something fell in my office. I think I've got a poltergeist. Or it could just be gravity. I'm gonna go with gravity. But that did scare the bejesus out of me. So okay, Skull Island now is populated with, I'm just keep looking over there now. I'm like, I'm all in here on my own. Yeah, that'll do us. Maybe some more trees. A couple of more trees. Few of them, one of them, another one of them. That'll do us. That's groove-tastic. Just getting mindful of my file sizes. So, you know, the poor little computer. I'm gonna go order a Mac Studio when the M3 comes out, but until then, I'm not gonna bother. Yeah, I'm a Mac boy. Sue me. I love it. Oh man, file's not right protected, guys. So let's move these out of the way, and we get all these bushes grouped up. We've got a palm tree in there. Oops, no, we don't want you in there. That's a different group, I think. Well, it's going to be one group anyway. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to call it one group. Call it foliage. You do need to move the sky out of the way, though. Coconut, 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 and coconut. And Alt-G, Command Null, and foliage. I think that's how you spell foliage. Let's make sure everything's there. Okay, excellent. Now we have our landscapes to contend with. And so let's just put you there. Landscapes. Landscapes. Yes, and yes, you go in here. Happy days. We're good. Cubes there. I'm not going to put the cube in with them. It's fine. And scene. Ish. Scene-ish. Bit like Sean Connery, R.I.P. Great man he was. So the next thing we're going to do is just quickly render that in the preview, and we will then bring in our artillery. Our artillery? Our ordnance. Our ordnance. We need to make sure we're using the correct words. We'll bring our ordnance in next, and we shall attack Skull Island. So what I'm thinking, the original concept had what's it called? Only had one tank and one plane. You can see it there, just about. And a tank and a plane. But we're gonna put in, I think, a little bit more. Than that. So let's just open up our Thingiverse files. I'm not too bothered if they're gonna be all in bits or whatever. And an F16, which is awesome. Oh yeah, baby! Look, oh, I can't wait to show you this. I cannot wait to show you this. I'm gonna open it in Cinema 4D. STL import settings are so, and we'll just have an F16. Oh, I wonder if it'll subdivide. Should start a little YouTube channel. Will it subdivide? Oh yeah, subdivide nicely. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool, isn't it? Oh, I've always wanted an F16. Well done to Thingiverse. Oh yeah, boy, the Fighting Falcon. Yes. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna bring in our F16. Let's check. I'm interested, curious to see the file size on this Attack on Skull Island file. So it's not too bad. Only 378 megabytes. Reasonably modest, I think. It's all the vertices in the foliage that does it. I mean, I should really use a cloner, but you don't get quite the granular control. I mean, you could clone it to like a plane and then tell the clones to go to the individual points of that plane and move them around that way. But then you're kind of you're putting the strain onto the CPU as opposed to the RAM, so you just have to understand what you're doing. I don't mind just using a bit of RAM or whatever. I've only got 16 gigs in this, which is pretty pathetic for the year 2023. I bought it like last year. But I think the Mac Studio I'm going to get is going to have 32 gigs because I don't know why, it just makes me feel better. Probably wouldn't even be any different. But yeah. We shall cross that bridge when we come to it. Hurry up, Apple. I'm itchy. I love this, though. It's a good little computer, but you can always have more power. Well, you can't have too much power. Alright, so let's copy this F16 in. Din, din, din. Whoa. Okay, I'm just gonna texture it with you're a kid and you're like drawing pictures and you make all the noises of the bullets and the planes and everything else. I feel like that now, which is pretty awesome. So we're gonna have an F6. So I'm gonna have for scale. I'm gonna have these tiny because I want Skull Island to be huge. So we're gonna have a rocket launching from him, and now the Challenger tank. Don't save that. And I'm gonna create a gray. Just a grey texture for the F16. They're quite stealthy and dark in their paintwork. And then there's no need to go too crazy with details. Maybe a bit of reflectance just for the sake of having reflectance. Just add a GGX. Obviously they're not reflective because if they were reflective they'd be easily detectable. But for the purposes of this illustration, who cares? So yeah, there we go. There's a nice shiny F16. And we maybe have another one coming in from the opposite side, creating an airborne pincer movement, of which I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but it sounds cool. Make it sound cool. MISC. Okay, we've got a couple of F-16s in the air, a couple of birds in the air, and now we're going to just add the Challenger. There's another model downloaded from Thingiverse. Oh my god, I've got to build this myself. Yeah, no, what? This is rubbish. I'm building a fucking tank myself. Oh no, because you have to put it together. That's fine. The thing about Thingiverse is you will download stuff that I could put this together, but I'm just not going to because
Approximately 10 hours later.
So just had to quickly hunt around on the internet for a tank, and I found one, but obviously this is all one image. This is designed to be 3D printed, which is fair enough, but the problem I have is I need to assemble this. It does not subdivide very well. So I think what we can do, convert polygon islands to objects, and that will then convert all of these bits and bobs into what we want. So let's just see, there's a lot of parts. Okay, so let me just select the rectangle selection. See what we can do. Right, we can select it this way. Rectangle, visible only. Brush selection, visible only. I mean, I want it to be. Get rid of them. And close that, paste them again, and that's one object done. And just grab this one, then hit, I just normally just cut it, Command X, and then group them. And there is another, oh no, we know we've got two tracks there, but we leave it for now. We've got this one to go, and cut it, and paste it, and group it, and it gives us that one again. And I don't know, what is this one? It's kind of thing that doesn't. Oh, okay, yeah, it goes underneath. Fine, we'll just do that as well anyway. Okay, what's that then? Cut, paste, group. Okay, if there's anything left over, I do not care because we don't need it. Oh, and actually, we do need it. Sorry. Okay, is that the one that's left over? Alright, cool. Alright, let's put the tank together. It's a lot of work for a very small detail, but sometimes it just has to be done. There's no getting out of it. If you can get away with not doing it, fine, but don't not do it. If you have to. Right, so I'm going to have to redo those polygon islands there, because they are going to be the tracks, and obviously you want a track on either side of the tank. There should be a circle there to line that up. Good. Now we got a Challenger. Yeah, just pop you there. I'm guessing that looks about right. And then we'll have the tracks aren't going on yet. So what's that? That goes over there. That's the bottom bit, isn't it? So let's put you there. I'm guessing that probably goes there somewhere. Actually, that's not necessary. It's obscured by the tracks anyway. But it will be. Oh, don't need to save that. And then this part here, that part there, and boom. Okay, so. Okay, let's just do that there. Oh no, is this all one? I just want to select this. And no, it's grabbing everything. Eesh. Okay, I know what I'm going to have to do, baby. We're going to have to use point mode. And we'll make sure that visible only is not checked. And then we'll delete it. And then we'll close this up again. No, I don't want to. So I just automatically hit Command S. And we're going to create a symmetry. Can we use our symmetry? Symmetry. There we go. Stick that in there. That should give us one of them. Now, yeah, it's gone mental. Not me, governor. There we go. And then just put this over there. Make sure it's in the middle. And Bob's your uncle. Put these in a bit closer. And now we have a tank. It is a leopard tank, which is obviously good for this particular piece. I don't know if it's a leopard too. We'll just call it a leopard for now. Stick that in there, close that. No need to save that. Okay, yeah, baby, this is looking groovy. And do I want... Yeah, I'm going to use the same paint for the leopard. Or the leopard. And then we're just gonna turn this around. Make it smaller, as the Dutch say. Yeah, now we're attacking Skull Island with gusto. Okay, let me just make sure he's not too buried in the sand. Cool, and then we'll have another one of these. We'll just pop that over there. So, I guess the number of tanks could be relevant. I don't think I'm going to go that deep. Yeah, I'm leaving. So I'm not going to just the number of ordnance pieces could be relevant and representing the countries that are helping the country that's being invaded currently, but I'm not going to go too deep with that. And let's just zoom back into our original position. Oh, that's not a bad angle actually. Yeah, that's I'm going to set a camera up there. Now original angle. I'm going to set a camera there. That'll give us a little bit of judge. I might do another angle from what I just saw because it is a little bit more cinematic. And we'll almost be nearly ready to render in a minute. So, we've got some F-16s in the air. We got some... I should have like a low pass F-16, just blasting the gubbins out of the island. Yeah, attack on Skull Island's coming along well. Right, okay. So let's get our scene-ish. That's cool. Yeah, and that can be render tag with a compositing and an object buffer. And so can the leopards. No, sorry, the F-16. Compositing tag, render tags, and object buffer of 1 again. That's cool, and that'll knock all those out for us. The scene-ish is fine too. Has that got everything on it? Yeah, it does. Grand. Oh, deja vu. That's strange. Oh, wow. I get some weird deja vus at times. So which camera are we going to go with? Yeah, see, I like that as well. So what I might do is move that leopard over a bit. And then I'll have him in here. Oh, no, do you know what? I'm just going to make another leopard. Why? I can have as many leopards as I want. Alright, and now he's way up in the air, so we need to bring him back down to earth. Oh, not bury him in the sand. There we go. Oh yeah, I mean that's a decent angle as well, to be fair. Zoom out a little bit. You have a tank attack on Skull Island. Let's see what that looks like. I guess the beauty of 3D is that this is why I don't like doggedly adhering to a concept, because you never know what you're going to find. I mean, the original angle was just what I saw in my head. You know, here we go. Let me just make sure you can see that. It was just what I could see in my head, you know, and I drew it. I mean, that does not mean that we cannot, you know, deviate from the concept. And I think this angle here is just nicer, you know. Well, now I'm going to stick an F16 there. I think I'm just going to go with that, to be honest. It looks groovy. Yeah. And I'll stick an F16 over here. We can still, you know, maybe render the original angle as well. You know what I mean? It's not as kind of over-the-shoulder vibe. Over-shoulder, boulder holder. That's what somebody once told me a brow was. Okay, I need an F16 to be somewhere here. So again, you know, my belief, my core philosophy, one of my core philosophies is that the process should inform the concept, or at least can. You must not ignore that, because you miss out on things. And some things are a travesty to be missed out on. So you can be buzzing the... so let's just think about composition here. Yeah, so if I think about the white space here that this F16 is occupying, I want to just make sure there's an even amount of space here, here, and possibly here. And then these leopards can maybe move in a little bit. And I want to move the sea up slightly, just so that we can see more of it, of the sea. And this leopard here can go up until he starts getting buried in the sand, which isn't going to happen. Then he is there. Or she, depending on whether you call your tank a boy or girl. So now we're cooking with diesel. Okay, this is looking okay. It's looking okay. I think we're in a good place. Yeah, now we're talking. I'm gonna try to point that gun up a little bit. Let me just see. I mean, there's no need to go too crazy with it. Give me that leopard. Yeah. Okay, so just point the gun up a little bit. Oh my god. You know, we don't really... Just move around a bit. Let's use a bit of artistic license. We just want the gun pointing upwards. It looks like a metaphorical erection. You know. That's what they're all about, isn't it? Those old 80s Ultramanly posters for like... what's it called? Like action movies and stuff. It's basically, you know, he's got a big gun. It means he's got a big wheelie or big penis. You know, that's what they're trying to say with the guy holding the gun on the cover. So this is what we're going to make. We're going to be showing that we are the ones doing the thing to the other guys. Don't want to say it on the channel. It can be considered rude. So let's just have our guns pointed up. The old gladiator song. Okay, yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, awesome. Is that it's a good angle, but there's not enough information. So here now is the attack on Skull Island happening. Everyone brace yourselves. We're grooving. And it is another time for a beer. The precious. Here's our... Yeah, this is looking good to get rendered, I think. I'm not even going to bother making a skull texture. That looks dry and bony and everything. This looks like the initial attack on Skull Island, which is cool. And yeah, let's just check our render settings. What do you hit render? Fix, stop. No. No, stop. Don't render. Shh. Hush now. Okay, so here we are. 2000. Physical is adaptive custom. Let's go for medium. You don't really need hard medium at kind of Instagram resolution. QMC, Early Legacy, global elation is medium now, and generally we are calling it QMC as a secondary method of rendering. Quasi Monte Carlo, brute force rendering style, and it's very effective, it's very good, but it can be slow, so I tend not to use it as a primary method. And obviously I think I don't know if you can still do QMC with GPU rendering, but that's not really relevant to me. And so I guess now let's just render that, and I will be back once this is rendered. I don't want to cancel that, and I'll Catch you in a bit, dear viewers. Great. Now we've finished rendering. You can see here the result. I'm going to go with this angle, I think. There's no point doing the other one. I'm not feeling it. I think this is a little bit better composed. So let's just save this down as a PSD and we'll jump into Photoshop and do our thing. Attack on Skull Island v2.psd. Fine. Now we just need to open Photoshop and drag it so that you can see in the window I've got set up. And it might help if I move the microphone a bit close to my face, because I moved it away very quickly. It's always the professional. So let's go macOS screen capture, Cinema 4D, Adobe Photoshop, and okay, let's just quit Cinema. Thank you, Cinema 4D, you've been amazing. And where's the thingamajig gone? Attack on Skull Island PSD. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to use our usual gibbons of doing here a few bits and bobs. So I'm just going to create a new adjustment layer for the LUT lookup table. Codec. Nah, I'm just going to go back to fall colors. That worked. Why? We found it. It's done. So now, next thing I want to do is add some kind of explosions and stuff. Because Skull Island is under attack. I'm just going to do a layer, an adjustment layer of levels just quickly, just to see if we can squeeze any more niceness out of this. Ooh, no. No, I kind of like the sunset now. I'll leave that. Cool. I'll do. So now I've downloaded some brushes. I just Googled for explosion Photoshop brushes, and there's a few of them out there. That do. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. That works in terms of like, I think I could layer that up. And then doesn't work there, but it does work up the top there. Okay, so we'll keep that. And see if I can find another little explosion brush. And we'll keep experimenting and make sure we use a new layer. That's smoke. Oh yeah, okay, we can do it some smoke. Add some smoke in. Yeah, that'll do. Any more smoke we need anywhere? That can be coming out of the diesel engines, couldn't it? Just add a bit of smoke there. Yeah, that's okay. And then the next one. Creativity is unfortunately can be quite a tedious process. There's no getting around it. You just have to keep chipping away at it and eventually you'll get somewhere. But there's no big wave of magic wand and it happens. It's not actually that glamorous in that sense. You have got a lot of these divas who think they can walk into a room and wave their hand and work magic, but they're just full of shit. And they can't do the job. That's what I think anyway. Let's have a look. Now, here's the brush. Oh yeah, a few more of them, baby. Yeah, we got some debris going on. That's not working. Okay, yeah, that's cool. A bit more of that. Maybe we can have it down there. Doesn't really work there, does it? I think maybe it needs to be dark. It's silhouette. Yeah, that could be kind of cool. Depends what they're shooting at, I suppose. Coming out of there. It's kind of feeling a bit more actiony though. I wonder if a bit of blur on that F16 wouldn't do it any harm, would it? Let's have a little go on that. So I'm just going to add some motion blur to this F16. Need to make sure I'm at the right angle though. Okay. About there. I'll do that. So if I just copy paste that. Alright, cool. And now we're going to filter, blur, motion, blur. And hopefully it'll give us an angle we can do it at. Yeah. That's getting somewhere, Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Because the tanks obviously wouldn't be blurry, but the F16 would need to be blurry. So we're just gonna roll with that for now. I think sometimes what you can do, right, is you can just because like, it looks really crisp and clean, doesn't it? So I'm going to create a new layer of that, new version of that. Leave that there. What I'm going to do is, I'm not going to commit it to a smart object. I'm just going to make it about half the size, so about a quarter overall, but it's about 50%. And then bring it back up again. And what that'll do is it'll force the pixels to interpolate. And you can see there isn't much of a difference. You can see it loses some detail in the trees there. And actually, that's more believable. You could probably even go lower. I mean, I could reapply that. What do you call it? Treatment or process? Don't know if that'll get us anywhere. It's like having a very subtle Gaussian blur applied. And it just gives you that little bit more kind of believability, because nothing's perfect. If you look at a photograph, you look close, the edges kind of are a bit. There's never anything really that pin sharp. And even with the human eye, there isn't even anything that pin sharp. So just to kind of shuzz you up a bit like that, it ain't no bad thing. It ain't no bad thing. Because otherwise it looks too rendered. And I want this to look like it was, it doesn't have to be photographic, but obviously not to look like it was completely unprocessed, just a raw. Almost like you don't want to look at like a wireframe. Some infantrymen would be good as well, but I don't think they'd be too safe in the company of 3 leopards and an F-16. So yeah, you wouldn't even see the rockets coming out of the plane, would you? Because they'd be too fast for your eye to see them. Okay, let's try another explosion. Wonder if these high-res explosion brushes be any good if I shrunk them down. I don't think they will, to be honest. I think they're a bit crap. There's just no real, they're just too. They feel like they're trying too hard. I don't know. Something about these brushes I'm not getting on with. They just feel like they're trying too hard. They don't feel natural. These ones are weird. I mean, they're okay, but they're just weird. They've cut them at really weird angles. So let's find out what's going on here. Any good? It's just boosh. Okay. I'm feeling my way around in the dark here, guys. Like literally, I'm just sort of trial and error in it, seeing what works. And yeah, if it works, it can stay. If it doesn't work, it just goes. So we roll. I don't know. I mean, and obviously you don't want it to feel too arbitrary. And also, what you can do is with these ones, instead of doing the explosion thing that it had, maybe we should try a filter, and we can try a radial blur. Now, radial blurs I used to use radial blurs, and that's a bit much. No, it needs to be a zoom. Filter radial blur. Radial blur. Because I used to use the radial blur as a test back in the old days when you had like a 700 megahertz G3 iMac, not iMac, but it was a G3 Mac, like Mac Tower. The radial blur. Now this was way back in like 2001. I would use the radial blur as a test to fucking see how good the computer was, because sometimes it wouldn't even do it would just crash the computer. But nowadays the radial blur is nothing. But it was something back then. So how fast? I think the radial blur needs to be less, but it is useful. Radial blurb. Yeah, So it's just not quite as. I wonder if a camera shake maybe. No, it might be a bit much. Yeah, no, we'll leave the camera shake out. And what else can we do? What else can we do to make this cooler? Apart from our obvious processes, making it look 16-bit, because that always looks cool. I'm not sure. I'm struggling. You're joining me here in a creative crisis. And if only this was a dynamic live show, you could be giving me suggestions right now. But to be honest with you, I'm a little bit stuck. I'm stuck at a technical and a creative conundrum crossroads. So I'm not sure what else to do. It feels like it needs something more, but I'm just not sure what. Maybe this, I don't know, man. Maybe some grain, maybe some noise. Let's add some noise. Filter, Noise, add noise. How much noise do we want? Well, we find out. Not that much noise. Not that much noise. Yeah, maybe 10, maybe 8% noise. Add a bit of noise, make it look more photographic, but not too much. You don't want too much noise. You don't want it to be noisy. Okay, so there's our original crisp, pristine, and this is our noisy one. It's a subtle difference, but quite effective, I think. And then that noise should translate into the diffusion effect on the kind of the 16-bit effect we're going to apply to it as well. But I would like something blasting off the. I don't know if that'd even be overdoing it, but we'll find out. Let's try and see. We can but try. Oh yeah, like that. That's quite like quite Vietnamese. Yeah, that's cool. Just anything we can do to make it a little bit more interesting and enhance it. That's all we're doing. See, we don't want it to look a bit shit, but we do that over here, almost like a smoke vignette kind of thing. Let's just rotate that. Flip it horizontally, and we'll just put it over here. We do this kind of. Yeah, just rotate it. It'll be fine. Do a little smoke vignette. Yeah, so we don't overdo the vignette effect, but you get the gist. You can play around and be creative. See what else we got. That's a bit. Don't like that. Don't like that either. Can we do some of that? Let's just shrink it down. See if we can just like have it ground being blasted here or something. Has that actually done anything? No, it hasn't done anything, but it's got potential, potentially. Let's just add a new layer and rotate. We'll rotate. Looks like it's come off that way. Alt arrow key. Yeah, I mean it's subtle enough, not to be too worrisome. But we'll carry on and we'll see what else comes up. No, I want to delete it. Let's see what we can do next. Try another explosion brush. Yeah, so I just want this to feel like it's being under attack, Yeah, so that could go there. Well, what I'll do is I'll just chop along this line here with the marquee. Now at least that explosion can be kind of coming from there, and if that doesn't work, I'll delete it. Yeah, it just looks like a lot of mud that's been splattered on the skeleton's face. I'll leave it though. I'm going to leave it. It's fine. Actually, come to think of it. So new layer time. Oh, now it's the old one. Don't want that. Moving up and on and up. It's a bit much. I'm just going to commit that F16 layer. I'm happy with it. It's gone all the way there. Woo. Okay, you can go there. Good fella. Yeah, so we're getting somewhere. Where that is anyone's guess. But we are getting somewhere. Yeah, I mean, this is getting close to where I'm cool and happy with it, really. It's I think it's actually it's turned out to be a nice little project. I just want to see if there's any more scope to elevate this work to its highest level. And if not, then we'll leave it. But it is important to be absolutely 100% sure that you're not going to go back and have regrets. That's the diesel engine I used earlier. You don't want to regret something that you didn't explore. And then, honestly, if it came to a point where you were like, yeah, I'm done, I physically cannot do anymore, that's cool. You've done your best. But there's no harm in seeing if you can get some more out of the work, Absolutely no harm at all. It's important. So otherwise you'd stop at the render, wouldn't you? If that was the case. I mean, I don't want to overdo this. I mean, it is a battle zone. It's a battleground. There's no kind of scope for non-chaos. That's too much. Get rid of that. Okay, so that's our brush library exhausted. I'm happy though. I am happy. I want a fire coming out of that flipping tank. I wonder if that other brush library would be any good for that. So what we'll do is have a look at the other brush library. See if we can do something with these. So what are these ones? So if we had that in white. X on the keyboard, flip between foreground and background, and just shrink it right down. I'm going to need to rotate it, but it could potentially be okay to symbolize the blast of the cannon on the tank. I wonder if I just reduce it. It doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's weird. It looks a bit weird. Feels arbitrary. Doesn't feel necessary. I'll try maybe a couple of more. And then after that I'll call it quits. Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one-ish. That's too bright. Let's see if we can just make... Yeah, I mean, I think subtlety is the key here. Subtlety is definitely the key. So let's just group all these. Group. Yep. And create a new layer. Flatten it. Just for the sake of flattening it. Is there any other filters that we could do, like a color halftone or something? Just a time. I'm going to do the thing in a minute. I think what we could do is actually, if we just create our high pass filter, and we can overlay this data here onto the original, and that will give us a little bit more kind of definition to our edges. That, my friends, will go away to making it look a little bit more cartoony. I mean, you can probably overlay these. It's a bit much. I think the noise might be a little bit too much there, but for just 50% opacity, that maybe 10%. See how we go. That's 30%. Yeah, that's cool. I want to oil paint it up a bit. Let's see. I'll see how the oil paint filter gets on. If it looks not cool, it looks uncool. But I mean, it's way. Ooh, wait. Let me try one thing. So let's go. Turn these off a sec. Does look cool, but it's way too psychedelic. But I'm wondering if I just made that into a high pass filter, and then overlaid it on top of the original. Yeah. Does that get us anywhere? Not quite, but you know what? It's there now. So cool. So we got something. Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm happy with that. I don't mind the oil paint having a little bit of an influence on it, because it does have a subtle vibe. So that's cool. Now let's 16-bit this up. So what we need to do for that then is our usual trick of saving it as a GIF or a GIF. A 32 color GIF. It doesn't look quite right. I wonder if we need 16 colors. That's too much. I don't actually mind it, but I think 32 colors is where we're at. Let me just see what that looks like compared to the original. Put them side by side. And that is... And it becomes more apart, more detail layers like the trees. So you kind of just knocks a few colors out of them. That's not a bad thing. And so if we dither it, how are we going to dither it? Have 0 dithering. You're dithering, old man. Or we have 100% dithering. This is the question. All dithering is, it kind of uses pixels to mix up the colors, so you don't have to. It reduces banding, but the what introduced to nothing. Okay, let's save that. I mean, I'm happy doing what I'm doing here, but you know, if there's a quick win, I'll take it. Absolutely, 100% every time. So here is our Attack on Skull Island piece. I think we're going to add some typography, just to make it kind of, I don't know. I just think it could use it. But we're going to do the typography in Adobe Illustrator because I don't like working with type in Photoshop. It feels inefficient. So we're going to hop on over into Illustrator and see what we can see. So we're going to put attack. I always do that. I see the tool palette for Photoshop and I click on it thinking it's Illustrator, but never mind. Attack. And now we're just going to duplicate this. So I like the freedom of mishing and mashing my words without, come here, and without you know, having them all in one text box. So here's Attack on Skull Island. Now we're going to need a better font than that. It's a default Illustrator font. Myriad is a highly respected one. It's a fine font, fine piece of typography, but I think I've been experimenting and we're going to use this one called Bangers. It feels quite comic booky. I searched around for a few of them earlier on, but this one was the one I think kind of, you know, I thought it was the best and most appropriate one. It just feels good. It feels nice. Attack on Skull Island. It's got that kind of intrepid, dynamic comic book feel, I guess. So we're just gonna roll with that. I think. You mean with the skull in a tiny tad? Oh, okay. Command U. Turn off smart guides. And Attack on Skull Island. And that'll do us. I think, yeah. Because, you know, you can get away with having the on closer to the word skull because it's obviously like a, you know, completely different size. But yeah. Oh man. Actually, we don't need to save that. I'm going to color it and I'm going to drop shadow it in Photoshop itself. So let's jump into Photoshop and let's get this last bit of the puzzle done. So just paste that in there. Always as a smart object. And once you've got a smart object, you can just, you know, delete your original Illustrator file because it's no longer necessary. Now, how am I going to do this? I'm feeling, let's go for FX here down the bottom of the layers panel, color overlay. And what we're doing, I'm thinking maybe red. Yeah, that's kind of pulpy, like a pulp vibe, pulp comic books. We do need a drop shadow on it as well. So I'm going to pop this drop shadow here. I'm going to have it white. And yeah, I think that's almost there. Change the angle of drop shadow to a different one. Maybe just bring it out a little bit more. And you know, that color overlay, I think we could go darker in that red. That's the default red. It feels quite RGB like. So right now, I'm just going to put the typography in its final resting place, which I think here, just having moved it around a few times and looked at it with fresh eyes, I took a little 5-minute break just there. I think here is probably the best place for it. It kind of gives it that more storytelling feel. Up there, it was too small. It was kind of interfering with F16. So yeah, that's it now, guys. And stay cool. All the best. Bye for now. See you next time.